Hello! This will be our discussion of Twin Peaks The Return, Episode 5, Case Files. We did an episode prior, we discussed episodes 1 through 4. So this will be a little bit less material to be covered because it's only 1 hour instead of 4.
So thankfully, we go into more detail with it now, too. As long as we can remember everything that happened.
Yes. Hopefully we won't forget, because I know in the first video there's a lot of stuff we missed or forgot, as everybody in the comments pointed out. Rightfully so.
Yeah, thanks for commenting, because I just like any discussion about this at all. Because I'm sure plenty of things people are guessing are going to be wrong by the time this is over with. But
yeah, well, and David Lynch and Mark Frost, I'm sure they're going to pull the rugs out from everyone's feet multiple times. Mm-hmm. I'll guess too, we didn't introduce ourselves. I'm William.
I'm Sean.
Yeah, and
go watch our first video if you haven't yet. It's pretty fast and loose. Like, it was more made to kind of give just our impressions of the show because it was coming back. Now we kind of know what the show is, and episode 5 stays kind of on the same track, which I love because the track is like off the rails. So it's like it couldn't get any more weird or unexpected at this point.
And 2, we're going to do full spoilers. We're discussing the stuff that happens in the episode, and discussion and theorizing and possible not spoilers for any future episodes because we haven't seen them, but just for the current episode, like what some of the discussion is around some of the things going on, like in theories.
Theories, we've read.
And and like I know in the last one I didn't talk too much about the secret history of Twin Peaks. Like, I don't know how much that's going to, the novel that came out or the book, I'm not sure how much that's going to play into the show because it wasn't written by David Lynch. It was written by Mark Frost. So I'll be interested to see how all that plays out because I think it was mentioned before, like in that book, there's stuff that contradicts the show, the original 2 seasons. Like some of the characterizations it gives of certain events that happen to certain characters. So I'm not sure how all that plays in.
But you said that's also a lot of accounts of events.
Yeah.
So the person making the accounts could be wrong or giving misinformation as well.
Or they could have given the wrong version of events in the show when they explain what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll if there's stuff I remember from that, I'll bring it up. But I don't know how much it's going to tie into the show. But just, general thoughts on this episode. So the first episode, nobody had any idea what to expect when you're, Twin Peaks coming back after, 26 years or whatever. David Lynch, who hasn't directed a movie since Inland Empire in the mid-2000s. And so nobody knew what to expect. The first episode had like the glass cube and it had all these different elements. And episode 2 had, different elements. Episodes 3 and 4 started getting more into a feel that approximated the original show to some extent. This episode slipped back more into the goofiness of like season 1 and 2.
This one, I don't know why this one felt, this one almost felt like almost an easier watch. Like we were talking before this started, like there wasn't a lot of things that happened and got resolved in this episode. But for some reason, it just felt like maybe I'm in the rhythm of the show too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I was really into it. Yeah. And it's not like it was maybe it was better than some of the other episodes, but it was just, maybe I'm just know what this is now. Yeah. And I'm in it. And I'm like, everything that's happening is interesting because a lot of threads have started as well.
And once you get accustomed to the fact, you don't have regular Agent Cooper with his full faculties being himself from season 1 and 2. You have the kind of mentally incapacitated version, and then you have Evil Coop, the Cooper doppelganger with Bob in tow, as we saw in this episode.
Which I thought was an awesome effect. Great way to kind of bring him back a little bit, Frank Silva.
Because they showed the flashbacks, the fact there was a doppelganger of Cooper and Bob. And this one, I guess, was him checking in to make sure Bob was still with him after all the Garbanzia vomiting sickness stuff that happened in the prior episodes. So,
and then after that, in the episode, then he uses whatever to disrupt all the power. You know what I mean? Like, then maybe he's using some of that. But I was really happy to see them bring him back kind of just in that way. You know, like it was a great way to not recast and not do a Tarkin CGI
whatever,
Star Wars
whatever
thing
the
or
effect
something.
was that made Evil Cooper look like Bob was very well done because it was very
so
subtle.
Subtle, but it looked like Bob though. You had the gray streak start. I mean, I only watched it once. I just watched the episode a couple hours ago.
Now,
I had to wait a night. But
if you blow it up in slow motion, might not hold up. But when I watched it the first time, it looked great.
Well, he's in shadows too. You know what I mean? Like it's a digital effect in shadows. The mouth comes out like Frank Silva's.
Yeah.
The hair starts streaking, and it's awesome too because Good Coop or Dougie. When he looks in the mirror, he's wearing the blue pajamas like he was in season 2. That's kind of like, him kind of almost realizing, you feel like at that point he's sort of starting to become aware of his existence. And now you got this episode of Evil Coop seeing the mirror and almost doubling back for an episode or the end of season 2 when he saw Bob in the mirror.
Because this one got, there's still existential Black Lodge stuff going on. But this one didn't have as much existential stuff as the prior episodes where Cooper's going through space and he's in the purple room and he goes to the electrical socket. It didn't have as much stuff as that. It kind of has it more settled in the real world for the most part, aside from the Argentina stuff or the Buenos Aires stuff.
And I think that's really good because it has a good rhythm so far and a good pace, because if you have all kinds of that kind of out there Black Lodge, outer space stuff, then it makes that stuff less impactful. If you're seeing it all the time, you know what I mean? When you spread it out, I think.
Because the original show, it wasn't in every single episode. And so just kind of going through the episode, you have the guys in the car that are watching for Dougie. And then you have where they call the woman who text messages, which goes to the beeper in the box
in Argentina,
and then you don't really know what's going on with that.
Who we assume is
that has to have some connection to Philip Jeffries, who was played by David Bowie in Fire Walk with Me, and it has I don't think I ever saw a confirmation that Bowie was in the series. I think he passed away before they shot. I mean, they could do something with that character because he's mentioned quite a bit. So I would not be surprised if that character shows up in some way at some point.
Did he pass away in May of last year?
I don't remember. I believe so.
Yeah, I think it was about a year ago. I haven't seen any year anniversaries that I can think of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like if they were, he may have not been in a condition to really shoot. But, then again, they had the log lady, the kind of...
Yeah, Margaret.
But his role seemed like it would be much different since he's supposed to be a quote-unquote working agent as far as all the discussion has been going on.
Let's see. Bowie died in January of 2016.
Okay, wow. So I just totally missed that. So yeah. So the car blows up, and then there's, the little kid sees it and stuff, and there's a body next to it. So are the people who were also tracking Dougie, are they to assume that that's Dougie now?
But yeah, because they have, so the people that put the bomb on the car and the people who are working with the woman who text messaged the box. So you have that group. And then you have the other guys who are just kind of car thieves who go to steal the car when the kid who lives in the house across the street is looking at the thing under the car and they push him away. And they're trying to break in and it blows up. So, like you said, so does that mean...
That was a kind of brutal scene for the kid to watch, too. That was a rough, it wasn't super rough, but it was just Well,
based on the fact he's in a house with somebody that's got track marks and drugs, it's probably...
Yeah, and then he goes and is watching it through his window after the fact, too.
Yeah, so you have the stuff with that going on, and... you get a little bit more info, or not info, you get more screen time of that black box later. But then you have the detectives who are looking at the dead body, and they found the ring in it from Dougie's wedding ring from Jane E. And there's some good scenes there with the coroner, the crime scene investigator.
Yeah. Some dry humor.
Which is getting back into the stuff like Albert did.
That does very much remind me of Albert. I wonder if that, and you brought up that people think that's possibly Major Briggs, or I guess the show alludes to it because
the body. The body. I remember seeing circulation for the prior episodes and different reviews and recaps and things I saw online. People thought it was Major Briggs' body because the body type would be similar to his, and the actor that played Major Briggs passed away in the 2000s. So he's not around to reprise that role, though they did have his face show up and say Blue Rose when Cooper was in
Flying Through Space.
Space in the in-between worlds or whatever. So you have,
And then later, Ernie Hudson
yeah,
says that somebody comes into his office and says they've got a hit on
Major
one of them
Briggs, and
says
they've
it,
had
yeah.
multiple hits over the years.
like 18.
And then, too, Bobby Briggs said that his dad saw Cooper right before Cooper went missing, and then his dad died in a fire at the place that he worked, at the installation, which is also how the husband of Margaret the Log Lady died, or her husband or boyfriend or beau, or... Because that was in the book, The Secret History. I forgot if they were married or not. But
So, was Dougie responsible? Is Dougie wrapped up into something? Or is this evil Coop trying to get rid of Dougie?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
all
Like
unclear.
ring,
and it seems as if, since the fact, like, we're kind of jumping around a bunch, but, like, evil Coop calls that same box, and something happens with it, so you would assume that he's tied...
a pearl.
You would assume that he has some connection to the group that was also texting that box. So, like, is he trying to get Dougie killed, or because he made him a double to go into the lodge instead of him? So it's a bit unclear exactly what's happening.
Somebody else too. So the text on the BlackBerry said Argent 2. Somebody pointed out this is in like the Twin Peaks 2017 Facebook group, which is awesome for Twin Peaks fans. That they posted an image that somebody else looked it up and said Argent means like metal, pearl, or something about moon or celestial things. And so he also says the cow jumped over the moon. Yeah. Somebody speculated that woman possibly lied in some communication, lied or something, saying that, oh yeah, Dougie's gone or whatever. Yeah. And he may think things aren't as they are, and that's why the box disappears. I don't know. So of course the real Dougie turned into a gold sphere.
Yeah.
A couple episodes
then Mike said he was not real. And
one-armed Mike.
And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this stuff is like red herrings or goes in a different direction than you would think.
I honestly didn't think we'd get a resolution on the gold shovels this fast.
Yeah. Yeah, because like it's like other stuff. So so Harry Truman, we haven't seen on the show, and the actor who played that character, Michael Otkeen, had kind of retired from acting and wasn't announced as being in the show. So his brother is the sheriff, and he's on the phone with Harry, and when his wife comes in.
That's who they originally were going to cast as Truman, I believe.
Yes.
Lynch was possibly going to. So that's kind of cool that, you know, he got to pull him back in all these years later and still play Sheriff Truman.
Yeah, and because like I said, they give a little bit more background on the Truman brothers in the book, The Secret History of Twin Peaks. Not a lot. I mean, it's more just about them being on the football team and some other stuff like that. But you don't get a ton of information about that.
So he's on the phone with Harry S. Truman.
Yeah.
You know, he's sick, sounds like physically.
Yeah, Robert Forster.
Yeah. Mentally, Robert Forster, he's been in a ton of stuff. Mentally, he sounds fine. And then Sheriff Truman, the brother of Harry S. Truman, his wife comes down the hallway, and she seems very much like Nadine.
Well, like too,
Big Ed's Nadine.
I've seen a lot of people talk about the portrayal of women so far in Twin Peaks: The Return, and you have women being brutalized or victimized in the first couple episodes, with Evil Cooper killing someone, and then you have like in this episode, there's like threats of rape, and then you have
on the inverse though, the guys can be real dirtbags too.
Yeah,
like you know Steve in the bar. Not Steve. What's his name in the bar?
The Horn Kid.
Yes.
But the thing a lot of people pointed out is it's mostly women being victimized so far, which happened in the original series too, with like Laura Palmer, Renette Polanski, and like all the different characters, and then Maddie and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Richard Horn is his name.
Yeah, Richard Horn was the kid at the bar. So not trying to get out of order here too much. So yeah, so then you had the phone call. You see that kid Steve, I guess it's Steve Burnett, I believe is his last name, is interviewing for a job with what is grown-up adult Mike from the original show.
Mike, Bobby Briggs' friend.
Yeah.
Not one-armed Mike or...
Yeah, the Mike who was dating Nadine in season 2, which is unclear if they're still together or what. But you see him, and he tells Steve how terrible his resume is and how bad he is and stuff like that. So you have that.
Oh yeah, and the Jacoby stuff. So he is selling golden shit shovelers basically.
Yeah.
He's kind of has his own internet broadcast for
he has like his own conspiracy show where he's going through all these like spouting off all these crazy conspiracies, which makes sense based on his character from the original show. And the book, once again, that Secret History of Twin Peaks has some of the writings of Dr. Jacoby. They're the more fringe science things, so that plays more into this of him being kind of like this internet.
Yeah, he's living out in the woods by himself now,
and he's literally just spray painting golden shovels and selling them for $30. So I'm not sure what the
and
profit
hey,
margin
I
is.
appreciate that he wasn't hiding the fact. He said it was double coated.
Yeah,
So, you know, like he didn't say it was 24 karat gold. So and then Nadine is watching.
Yeah, and so is Jerry Horn.
Yeah, and Jerry, I can see him maybe like checking out Nadine. I can definitely see her being sucked in.
Well, Jerry's into pot now, which
Yeah.
like makes sense. Like the way that they were in the original series, they would do anything that was able to make easy money, and he was kind of out there a little bit. So, and then too, you have Dougie or Good Coop or Mr. Jackpots or whatever you want to call him going to work. And
being let in by coffee, which every time.
And then like Jane E, like when he's getting in their car, like he sees the son in the backseat of the car and like almost cries. And
some people say that I think the sun blinks backwards.
Yeah, a lot of
that. Yeah, it's so there's so many small, nice little touches. That
then Dougie gets to work and follows Coffee to a meeting in a conference room, which is apparently some type of insurance business or something.
And in the elevator, they say multiple times, "Coffee's damn good."
Yeah,
which was so great.
Then Dougie ends up taking someone else's coffee, who then takes some green tea, and they're fine with it. And Tom Sizemore is there, is Tony, who's one of the other agents, and he has an interaction with Cooper there. And in the meeting, when like some green flashes on his face, and Cooper says he's lying, so you have like a conflict there that's being set up.
And as you know, we talked about before too, before the podcast started. You know, Cooper could tell when people were lying in the original series, and now it's almost like there's a visual annotation, a visual cue to when people are lying. You know, for the viewers or for him, maybe it's even stronger now.
And then he gets taken into the boss's office, and he says, like, you know, talking like his best agent, and then Cooper keeps repeating himself, agent, and he has like a look on his face. So I think he's slowly regaining like the elements of him, or some of the elements of him, and how long that's going to take, who knows.
Episode 18, he was like, "Hey, I'm back."
Yeah, because like I'd seen like I know like in the prior episodes, they said that they said that Cooper had been tricked and that one of them would have to die, or between him and the evil Coop, and because Dougie was fabricated by assuming evil Cooper, so that could go back into the lodge while evil Cooper stayed in the world. And when the copy went into the lodge, or into the waiting room for the lodge, and Cooper came out, then the Dougie disintegrated and turned into the little sphere. So I've seen some speculation that Cooper, the evil Cooper, and the real Cooper are just the actual original Cooper splitting into two, and they'll both need to be joined back together for him to be whole. Which would make some measure of sense, but it could also be like in the lodge, like a doppelganger is created.
Yeah, and Lynch has a lot of doppelgangers in his work.
In different areas. So either way that story went would make sense. Yeah. But, that's one of those things to wait and see how it plays out.
One thing I was thinking about, too, when this is like unrelated to any story speculation, but in the elevator, as they're going up and, he's drinking the coffee and he's like, "Good coffee." And he's like, "Yeah, it's damn good, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Like, I just think about the woman, seemingly the extra, standing next to him the whole time. Like, if she knew she was going to be an extra in Twin Peaks, and she's like, okay, she shows up, she didn't have the entire script, and all she knows of this new Return series is him in the elevator drinking coffee like that, acting out of it, and then being like, she had to be like, what the hell is this show even going to be?
Yeah.
Like, if you take any of this out of context and was to show anybody scenes from this, before the show air, you'd be like, what is this even going to be? Like, it's making sense right now, but it is such a strange and wonderful journey, as they say.
Well, then, and then you see Cooper doesn't know how to use the bathroom, so he's just holding himself and like, ugh. And then like the female coworker like offers to let him kiss her.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't understand what to do with.
Dougie seemed like a little bit of a slime ball.
So, Dougie was, hooking up with hookers and stuff, so...
Yeah, and so his former prostitute friend.
Yeah, Jade, who you saw, who when Cooper originally came out of the light or out of the electrical socket and replaced Dougie, Jade was the prostitute who was there with him, and then drove him to the casino. And she finds when her car is being cleaned, like the guy that's cleaning it makes a joke about some John leaving a key in there or something. So then she takes the hotel key to the Great Northern, which was Cooper's key from the room he had before he went missing. She takes it and drops it in the mailbox, so it'll go back to the hotel.
Hopefully that payoff doesn't come like 10 episodes in.
Because you assume that the hotel will get that key and that will kick off something because Cooper's been missing for...
That could be Audrey looking for him, or if the woman
Well, Ashley Judd works at the Great Northern, so what's her role? Is she just in there for 3 seconds? I bet we'll see her again.
Yeah. She could even be going with Audrey. Audrey could say, hey, help him. Whoever. Yeah. They could turn it right over to Gordon Cole and them. Who knows? Or Truman. But what was I about to say? Something with Audrey Horne.
Yeah, we haven't seen her yet.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was going to say. But I'm hoping that pays off sooner rather than later. And it's not, again, like 5 episodes in, but it's like having Cooper
another 5 in.
yeah, another 5 in. But having Cooper like this, it's going to make it, hopefully it doesn't happen at the very end, and hopefully it happens, but it's going to make it that much sweeter when he does return to mostly normal.
Yeah.
Because it is just like you're waiting for this show to come back. People have been waiting for it forever, and now you have to wait. We're waiting for Cooper to come back, and I'm enjoying it, but if we do return to Twin Peaks a little bit more, I won't be sad at all. And that's what it seems like it is slowly building back in, just like Firewalk with Me.
Because I think what, like we mentioned before, speculation, like I think the show's going to like start broad with multiple locations like New York and Las Vegas and South Dakota and different, maybe any other places. And then it'll just, slowly funnel all those characters and all the pieces on the board to Twin Peaks, to the lodges. Because I think that's what has to happen. But with Lynch, there's all these other things like the glass case, like who is the one paying for that? Mm-hmm. But then, we see the car explode when the kid across the street from Dougie's was it Ford Taurus or something sees the car, and you've had the cars circling it, like the group that's working with like the Argentina box stuff, and then a group of just like car thieves. So when the kid is looking at the explosive on the bottom and playing with it, trying to pull it off, which would probably blow up, the thieves show up and shoot him away, and then go to break into the car, and it blows up. So there's like a dead body there. So will anyone think that dead body is Dougie? Or like is it charred beyond recognition where they don't know who it is? Or will it be dental records? So it's unclear as to who, obviously currently there's Cooper as Dougie out in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But will the people who are trying to blow him up think they accomplished their mission?
Yeah.
Because they might have some setup where they know it went off.
And after that, I think we kind of go back. I think we go back to the Double R.
Yeah, where you see Becky. First, you see Shelley again.
You see,
and then you see Norma.
You see Norma first, sitting at the table, and Shelley's working, and then that's when Amanda Seyfried comes in.
Yeah.
And Norma's kind of watching from a distance, so we can kind of hear what's going on.
Yeah.
But we're also from her perspective.
Well, she's giving her money.
Yeah, and she's and she says something like, I love you, or thank you, or something like that, and she's like, don't mention it, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Norma says like it's the 3rd time in the past, I don't know, week or 2 weeks or whatever. So it seems like she cares for her. Norma still seem very close.
Yeah.
And it's almost, I know a lot of people are talking about Becky seems like she may be the new Laura Palmer, which absolutely that seemed like the case.
Yeah.
But also too, it very much seems like exactly what Shelley was doing at the start of Twin Peaks, where she is hiding her relationship with Bobby.
Yeah.
Or, or something.
Well, you have the element of Norma, who was married to Hank, who was a criminal and not a good guy. Mm-hmm. And then you had Shelley, who was married to Leo, who was a criminal, not a good guy, and, actively abused her. So then if Becky is Shelley's daughter, and then she's with the guy who's like a drug abuser, not a good guy, the Steve character, who we saw earlier, who didn't get the job interview because he had a terrible resume.
And we know they're married because of the same last name.
Well, the same, I believe it's Burnett. Yeah. So at the very least, they are together in a romantic way, unless what I read was.
And everybody's understanding is that is Shelley's daughter. You know, they don't say explicitly, but
yeah, like I mean that like
so far
that makes sense that would be who she was based on her showing up and the ages and stuff.
So the question is, who's her dad? Is it Bobby?
Yeah, is it?
You know.
Yeah, who knows?
And when they're driving away, you know, she does a little bit of coke after, you know, they go drive away. She looks up and laughs and smiles, and it seems very much that Laura Palmer free spirit. People compared that to the end of Firewalk with Me, to where she kind of maybe knows her fate, but is okay with it. My question is, okay, so now we have this kind of Laura Palmer situation. At least, you know, this could vaguely be similar to that. It could be exactly similar to it.
Or it could be like another Shelley.
Yeah, or it could be something totally different. So it could be a different path for this. So say we're setting up another situation like that. It would be interesting in this case if Bobby was the new Leland.
Yeah.
He already has the gray hair after Leland turns. So you could, you know, I mean, there could be some awesome struggle there because Bobby is a character we already love.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't seen him much. He obviously had a troubled past.
Well, it's a character we know.
Yes, but I mean,
he does have some of the most the actor who plays him. Has improved dramatically, or at least being directed differently. Because in the original series, he was very much like not overacting, but like a different style of acting from some of the other acting in the show.
Yeah,
like very melodramatic, and that's probably by design because Lynch was going for like the soap opera type stuff. Seemingly,
Miguel Ferreira said they walked up to him and said something like, "Oh, I see what you're doing here. You're going for the Captain Kirk, William Shatner style of acting." Yeah. And he said it really threw him off and stuff. Like I love all the characters from Twin Peaks. You know, he wasn't always the greatest guy, but I loved seeing him return when he did in this series. And because you hope for the best. I like that he's like, okay, he's a law enforcement now. Maybe he's all good, but maybe this is gonna be a struggle. But now that, you know, obviously it's probably not gonna go in the same way, or if it does, like now that we know, people know about Bob, Leland Palmer and stuff, like, is that gonna be the struggle now to kind of help save Becky? You know. From Bobby, I mean, this is all, we don't even know if Bobby's the father. I'm just saying there's some interesting things that could happen with this because you think the father is going to be an important role.
And a lot of the advertising
if she relates to Laura Palmer at all.
A lot of the advertising leading up to the show's release said it's happening again.
Yes.
And then the show that was said when Leland was going to kill Maddie. Mm-hmm. So is it going to be another... I mean, there's already been multiple people die at the hand of like Cooper, Bob, seemingly. But is there going to be another instance of Bob trying to kill, like, a young girl? So, I mean, how all that ties in, we don't know yet.
I'm already, you know, I like Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah.
I already want a Twin Peaks The Return prequel movie like Firewalk with Me. Like, I hate to even ask for anything else.
Well, that's if her character is like that at all. It could be
I know. Even if she isn't, though, like, I would just love to, you know, because it's so fun diving into any of these characters' lives. You know what I mean? Like, I love seeing Laura Palmer's life leading up to that. I thought that was handled so well. And I just love seeing all these characters in their small town lives of Twin Peaks. So I would love just like a really focused hour and a half on one person.
Yeah. Well, and two, so we also saw at the casino where Cooper / Dougie / Mr. Jackpots won $425,000. And Jim Belushi is one of the co-owners of the casino. And him and others think that the manager, played by Brett Gelman, who was there when Cooper won all the money, they think he was in on it. So they have the shit beat out of him. And then there's the weird kind of, like you said, like earlier before we shot this, like there's the girls in the pink dresses. Where it's kind of like continuity doesn't match up as to where they're in the room.
Yeah, they're not in the background of some of the shots. The way they come in, I think, is a little weird. They're in another shot where they should kind of be in there.
Yeah.
Somebody else said they're the women from The Radiator, from Eraserhead, you know, because they have the same sort of style dress.
Yeah.
But they also maybe are similar to the girls at the One-Eyed Jacks.
Yeah.
You know, not quite, but really, like, that outfit, you know, unless they're at a show in Vegas, those really aren't the type of outfits walking around on the casino floor. But so it's very interesting to see what that leads to and symbolism for them. And of course, David Lynch will probably never actually say because that's not how he rolls.
Yeah,
maybe we'll find out.
Go back
maybe
and
we
watch.
won't.
Go back and watch Inland Empire if you want to see a bunch of stuff. You got figure out. But then there's also the scene with Ernie Hudson, who I didn't realize was in the show, and he had a role where they indicate that there's been another hit on something to do with Major Briggs in South Dakota, so he sends out somebody to go investigate, which is one of the things that makes me think that the body that they have, where they have the torso of it, is probably Briggs. I would think because he's such an important part of the mythology of Twin Peaks, connecting to the lodges and things like that. And then the book, The Secret History, is like a big character involved in that. And then the show, he's a big character. And like the rumors I'd read for like if there was gonna be a season 3, which never happened originally, it was gonna involve like Major Briggs going into the lodge to save Cooper. It was like some of the stuff they talked about will be like the overarching story for a season 3 if it happened. Obviously, it didn't until now, and the actor had passed away. So
you could see him being somebody that evil Cooper would go after. Anybody with any or some forces would go after it, since he has more kind of intimate knowledge of
there's like the
way that works.
There's like the Project Blue Book stuff that he was aware of, and all these different things. So I think that would be his body, because I think his character's too important to not just show back up at some point.
Yeah.
And so I think that'll be his body. Now, I mean, I could be wrong,
and
but
his head's in space. That's why it's not there.
So that's what they're hinting at. And then we see a scene that takes place at the Bang Bang Roadhouse with a character named Richard Horn, who's just being a complete little douchebag. And he's like smoking indoors, and they tell him to leave. And then I guess the security guard comes over and he pays him off.
So he's obviously somebody running drugs back into Twin Peaks. It seems that, because that's where drugs kind of ran through before and everything.
The bartender at the Bang Bang Bar is the same actor that played, was it John Renault?
Yeah.
I don't think he's credited as that character because he died. But obviously in the show back in season 1, wasn't it, when Leland killed him, or was it season 2?
I can't remember.
When it was in the first 2 seasons, he died. But so there's all that connection. So then we see Richard Horn, like the girls are at the table across from him, look back, and then he threatens like sexual assault and rape on one of them, and
it's very, it's almost more aggressive than anything in the Twin Peaks series. Fire Walk with Me, it's close to that.
Because like bad stuff happens.
Yeah, it's on that level of Fire Walk with Me, but it's also a little bit like Willem Dafoe's character in Wild at Heart.
Yeah,
when he's like really grabby and just so like grossly aggressive.
Dern.
Yeah,
who we still haven't seen yet. Laura Dern. The speculation on Laura Dern. So the role, most people think that she will show up as eventually. There's no confirmation on this. Just people saying it would make sense. Would be Diane, who Cooper talks to on the tapes all the time. Because
she would. I mean, she seems like a Diane.
In the original series, it's indicated that at some point Cooper received something that Diane had sent, and was there a scene on the original run or the Missing Pieces or Fire Walk with Me where he like is at an office and speaks into a room to a Diane? I don't remember what that was. I can't remember.
I'm sure that's probably Missing Pieces.
But there was something like that. So like it's a character we've never seen on screen, and we're not sure that the character exists. Some people think it's like a figment of Cooper's imagination that he uses to deal with the fallout from the Wyndham Earl stuff. But like if she's actually a physical person, then it being Laura Dern would make sense. Mm-hmm. Especially since, she has the connection with Lynch and then multiple films of his. So her having a major role would make sense.
And Kyle MacLachlan in Blue Velvet.
Yeah, they're in Blue Velvet. Yeah. And then she was also in Wild at Heart and Inland Empire. So there's, those connections, but, back to the Bang Bang Diner or the Roadhouse, like, we didn't really get much more clarity on all of that, but...
It definitely seems like we're kind of falling back into some of the darker things happening.
It's starting to feel more like the original series.
Yeah, it's feeling more like the original series, but at the same time kind of amped up a little bit more, like Fire Walk with Me, like some of Lynch's cinematic work.
Yeah.
Just because it was such a brutal... And, Jane Levy kind of being the friend there, turning around.
Yeah, the show's just been stacked with stars.
Yeah, and, you can really see all of a sudden them connecting, like Becky being friends with that group. Or Jane Levy. You know what I mean? That's,
Yeah, all the different groups.
They could be friends here. Like, it could all kind of tie in. Because I've always thought the show was maybe going to be... the return was going to be... we were going to be back in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
The cast was going to be older, and this was going to be the younger generation. and it happening kind of again with them.
Yeah.
And it may be folding into that, it may not, but it's already kind of set up a lot of these little pieces where it could seem like one-off characters, but they could be fleshed out characters and be in 10 episodes, you know.
And we did not see Gordon and Albert again in this episode. We do see Tammy, who's looking at fingerprints on a computer and a picture of Cooper that I believe was a screen grab from like one of the earlier like season 1 episodes or something. But she's looking at the picture of Cooper and then some of the fingerprints and notices something. What exactly it is she notices, we don't know. We just see that she realizes something and, you know, had some type of intuition on something. So, like, I think this reiterates that Gordon Cole wanted to bring her along for a certain reason. I don't think it's just because she's attractive. I think that there's something to her that he thought would be good to bring her along.
I mean, it seems like some of these things are kind of starting to converge with her finding the fingerprints. You know, they were waiting to listen to the phone call because they wanted to know exactly what the phone call was. Gordon Cole was. He's talked to him. The key returning back on its way to the Great Northern. There's a lot of things converging. Dougie or Cooper kind of starting to maybe possibly
regain some of the elements of faculties.
So it seems like it's really starting to ramp up.
And then you got Hawk and Andy that are looking through older files, and Andy's like asking about Indians and stuff. So, like, Hawk, I think, is going to play a big role because if you remember, like in the original series, Cooper said if he ever went missing, that Hawk is the one he went to come find him. So I think that will
maybe they give the key to Hawk, you know, or Truman says, "I can't leave. You know, my brother's in the hospital. I've got to stay here and be sheriff. Hawk, go find Cooper."
So
you know?
we'll see more of that stuff, I'm sure, in episodes to come. And then we see evil Cooper at the prison when he gets his phone call, which, you know, like I said, Gordon Cole wanted to get the phone call to know who he called, and he, you know, says to the warden that he's not going to be calling Mr. Strawberry, and the warden seems to react to it as if he knows something that no one else should know, or something that is out there. So he has a reaction. What it means, who knows? Like, what Mr. Strawberry is or was or isn't, we don't get any clue.
And we may never know. It may be a kind of a thing where he knows about something dark in his, you know, history or past.
It could just be that he knows about something. That, and then his reaction is, how would you know?
And it's almost like a threat where now evil Coop maybe will get away with a few more things, you know, if he knows that.
Because, like, he's very ominous and very scary in prison. And with this phone call, he does a weird dialing thing, and then all the equipment in the prison goes haywire and is, you know, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and lights are flashing and things are going off, and
which almost makes me think. I mean, granted, I guess, you know, because it is Bob or the Black Lodge, but it's like he has those powers. Cooper has some other powers. Is Cooper going to actually get more power? You know what I mean? Like, is there going to be more supernatural abilities that Cooper's going to have eventually?
Because, too, like in the original run of Twin Peaks, when he's in the Black Lodge, Cooper shows fear, which is why he loses. So, like, will this be him having to get his full faculties back and not show fear to prevail? So that may be what happens. Who knows? But so then you see all the phone call stuff go, and then they can't track anything that's happening or hear what's going on. And evil Cooper called the number, and he said, what, the cow jumped over the moon. And then you don't know what the significance of that is, but then the same box that you saw earlier in the episode when the group of people in the car there went to blow up Dougie, the woman that they were working with, who text messaged the box. So then it was evil Cooper who called the box, and then it like shrinks down to a
silver ball,
like a little ball. So that seems a recurring theme of things melting down to a ball or a sphere or something like that. So you know what the significance of that is, but it's, you know, in Buenos Aires or Argentina or whatever. So I think that ties into Philip Jeffries, because previously Albert said he had, you know, put Coop and Jeffries in contact. So
it's almost amazing how many threads, even if it doesn't close things off, how many threads were open in the movie and in the series that this is even touching on. Like, I would have almost expected them to kind of maybe focus on a few and spray some new ones, but it really does feel like this is a very broad series, and I like that about it, because there's a lot to think about, and it feels it's almost like a different type of Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? Like where there's so much to it,
Yeah.
and there's so many threads, but it's not that type of lore.
It's a sprawling show.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Like I said, I think it kind of reminds me of, like, I haven't watched it in a while, but Inland Empire, in that you have like different vignettes. And in that one, there's not really the clear narrative threads, I think, that will be in Twin Peaks. Because I think that since that show was traditionally, or the original show was more like a traditional soap opera with all these different elements in it, like the lodges and all the different kind of quirkiness and all the stuff that you wouldn't get from those types of shows. I think since it was started there, I think you'll have a little bit more traditional narrative than some of the other Lynch stuff, just because where it came from. This is far more out there than the show was, and it's more in line with Fire Walk with Me. And the first couple episodes even kind of feel like Fire Walk with Me in terms of like when you have the different agents and Chet Desmond and all that type of stuff.
You think we'll see Chet Desmond again?
I don't think so. I don't think he was any of the casting stuff, and they never really brought that back up anywhere else. And like the Secret History of Twin Peaks, he's only like mentioned like once. So I think the main threads you'll have throughout all the stuff are, and two, there's things about like the lodges. So like, are they extraterrestrial in origin? Are they Native American lore in origin? Are they something older in origin that people think is extraterrestrial because they can't understand it? And that kind of ties into the Project Blue Book stuff of like investigation by the government into like extraterrestrial type things.
I've seen some people talk too. Is the Red Room, is that the waiting room for a lodge?
Yeah, I think that the Red Room is most people, or at least it's intended to be by some people, or thought of as like the waiting room for the lodges.
Yeah,
which would make sense. But yeah, like, so who knows, like I said, that book, The Secret History of Twin Peaks, like, I don't know how much of that is canon for the series, if any, because, like I said, some of the stuff contradicts the shows, so, or the episodes of the show, or the descriptions of things, but it does give some more flavor to things. And the book takes things closer to the X-Files than it really did to the original Twin Peaks, to me. But, like, this series...
So Mark Frost is the Dan Aykroyd, the one that's more, wants to go out there with some of this stuff.
Well, I think the book was really just kind of trying to craft a lore for what the lodges could be and what the supernatural elements are, starting back in early American history and going through Twin Peaks. So I think that's what the book was trying to do. And how much any of that plays into the series, who knows? But...
I wonder how much debate him and Lynch have about kind of explaining things and resolution, because Lynch, you know what I mean? Lynch is obviously on one spectrum, and Mark Frost seems to be very happy with, like, seems to have fun with kind of figuring things out and kind of making a lore about it. But I think the balance in the show is phenomenal. It's cool that Frost has his book that he was able to write.
So the book was like, it's kind of like a dossier where an FBI agent that may be a character on the show has to research.
What's the character's name?
Well, I believe it's just Tammy, like a newer FBI agent. Okay. I may be wrong on that, but I think that was...
I was just asking in case they do show up, to have some context. People would have context for, and myself.
I mean, that's really less important in terms of, like, who the... It's more just
no character development in there of her. It's just...
There's a dossier... It's like, it's a dossier that they find. So if that shows up in the show... If they find that dossier in the show, then I would be pretty interested. Because the FBI agent who is going through the dossier and trying to determine who the archivist was that put it together, or who worked on it, their name is TP. So I just assumed that, and it was assigned by Gordon Cole. So did it give the last name of Tammy?
They probably said Agent something, yeah. I think they may have. You want to look that up real quick?
Yeah.
Also, too, there's a lot of Garamboza in prison, so maybe he's getting
Garbanzia.
Yeah.
Or Garbanzia.
So maybe he's getting his life force by eating all that corn.
Yeah.
For the next episode, I assume we'll stay with Cooper, because he's been the through line of this series. This is kind of what this series has been about. Maybe his kind of return, but. Now that we're introduced to Becky, I'm really interested in that character. And I'm really glad she plays her.
So it's FBI agent Tammy Preston, so TP. So I'm pretty sure she's the one who was doing the research on the dossier in The Secret History of Twin Peaks.
Okay, awesome.
That would make sense, tying in a character from the show to the book.
Mm-hmm. So that's how they would bring her.
So if the book were to show back up, then that would be very interesting, and then make that something you need to read. I don't think they'll do that.
So she's the person that had put things together in the book. Is that what you're saying, that the other agent is reading?
Well, no, it's just Jordan. So in the book, they find a dossier that has all this information in it, and it was put together by someone they dubbed the archivist. They don't know who wrote it, and it's about stuff that happened in Twin Peaks and other information. So Gordon Cole assigns a new agent to go through it and determine who the archivist was and who would put the information together.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what the assignment was, and the book is just like you see different notes of there's like original there's like there'll be like archivist notes and then notes from the FBI agent about the archivist notes or the information in the thing. So it's just trying to figure that out.
Who was TP in that?
Well, it didn't say, but like I think it was Tammy.
You think she was the one writing the extra notes?
She was the one who was tasked with going through the entire thing and determining who wrote it.
Okay.
So she has notes in there that reference things in there.
So we get a little bit of, at least of her understanding based on some notes she made.
And like some pop culture references and different things. So I think that's who that would be. That would make sense to me. Now, will that play into the show at all? Who knows? I mean, like, it could be just like a nice little Easter egg if they have that dossier or something like that. You know, like it has to do with the book house and all these different things. So who knows? But
so yeah, next episode, I hope we get more Becky, and of course we're gonna get Cole. And then for me, anything else goes. Like I don't care what they throw us. Gordon Cole would be great.
I want to see Cole, like I think it so there's 18 episodes. We just got through episode 5. I think at some point in the next few episodes, it needs to start honing in on what the narrative is. There's all this sprawling stuff everywhere. But, I mean, it's David Lynch, so you never know. But I would think they would start narrowing down what the narrative is or what the threads are.
And again, I feel like they're starting to... I feel like it's stuff starting... You know, it was... The first 4 episodes are like
so
this.
Sprawling.
And I feel like it's starting to kind of connect.
Because, like, Matthew Lillard's character, he hasn't been back yet. So you don't know what's going on.
But I almost feel like that is a...
red herring.
That was a... I feel like that was a almost closed off. I've seen people bring that up too. But... we kind of knew what that situation was. It was almost to kind of just give us a reintroduction.
Because like in the Evil Cooper kills his wife.
Yeah, that loop is kind of closed, I feel.
But if they're investigating the stuff with the Briggs body and stuff, won't that come back to him?
That might.
So if he shows, so all these sprawling things are out there. I think we'll start to see more of a narrative get crafted soon, but maybe not.
Yeah, I'm already like gravitating towards Becky's character. Like I think her little performance there, the way that scene was presented from the distance, like I'm already really gravitating
echoes of Laura Palmer.
Yeah, I'm really already gravitating towards her, and I already really love kind of what I'm seeing out of that. So I really hope we get to catch up with her quite a bit.
Yeah.
And again, I want to see Bobby again.
Yeah.
You know,
we'll see
if Mike will even show back up. You know, his little role in there.
Yeah, was it Mike Nelson his last name, I believe. So start seeing more of the narrative threads and bringing the original characters in and getting things where it's not... Like, I think you're going to stop seeing new stuff at some point. Mm-hmm. Granted, the cast list for the show is ridiculous because, like, Trent Reznor's in it and...
He's just going to be playing at the Roadhouse one day.
Yeah. I mean, really, that could be it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so...
And there was a lot of wide range of music in this episode, too. There was some more modern stuff.
Yeah.
You know, there was some more, some older stuff.
And this episode did not end on a performance at the Bang Bang Roadhouse. Yeah. It ended on Cooper / Dougie, like with that statue.
It's the first episode that does not end it with that, right?
Well, I think
Did the premiere not end on that?
I don't remember.
I feel like we were getting that before because it was a touchstone, and it kind of made you feel good at the end of the episode. Like, okay, I get to hang out at the Roadhouse and kind of enjoy the music. But I feel like now that we spent a little bit more time in Twin Peaks than we have in the others, or different locations, you know, we're back at the Double R and all that stuff. I feel like now we had enough of that. We didn't need to go back there to see any more music performances.
Yeah.
But
so episode 5 is done. We gotta wait. Now we're just getting new episodes through like August or September,
which is awesome.
It'll start and finish, I think. It'll start before Game of Thrones and finish after Game of Thrones, if I remember correctly, because Game of Thrones has like a 7-season episode this year. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to see the ratings. I know like the live ratings weren't great when you factor in all the streaming stuff, and Showtime said it was like their biggest single night gainer in like subscriptions and stuff. So I mean, it's made, it's done. People are gonna it exists. It's gonna be aired regardless. But like I think once the season's over, people will probably binge it once you can go through. But I don't think David Lynch wants you to binge it, which is why they're releasing it the way they are and not all at a single time.
And I think that's very smart for this type of show because, you know, this There's a lot to digest.
It gives you a little.
And it was hard digesting those 4 episodes at once and then talking about them and keeping anything straight at all. Like even this episode, we're trying to figure out what happened when because it's so spread out. Yeah, it's not like you're in the town and all these things are going in a straight line.
You're going from Vegas to South Dakota to in some instances New York to Twin Peaks and Argentina.
Yeah.
So you have these different locations and all these different sprawling things. Like I think there's a narrative there. I don't think it's going to be complete narrative nonsense that ends on like a head scratcher. It very well could, but I think there'll be at least some things you can gravitate to and get closure on, because we did get closure on what happens with the shovels that Jacoby has. So maybe they'll start closing off more narrative threads and giving you more information.
We haven't seen Big Ed yet.
Haven't seen Big Ed.
He's been in a promo that I accidentally saw at the theaters.
Yeah, well, the promo is just him sitting at a desk.
Yeah, but still, that's too much for me. I was avoiding everything.
So we still don't know what all the relationships are between like Big Ed and Norma, and Nadine and Mike, and who's Bobby with. We haven't seen Audrey yet. Well, theoretically, based on the end of season 2 of the show, you don't know if she's alive or not because she was in that bank when it blew up.
Yeah.
But the book Secret History of Twin Peaks does tell you who lives and dies in that situation. And the fact that the casting has Sherilyn Fenn on the show,
which she's already been in the lodge.
Yeah.
She's been in the lodge, so that could be all there is to that. Who knows? She could come out of lodge into Becky's body and be reborn again.
Or
Sherilyn Fenn. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was thinking
Audrey. Yeah, Sherilyn Fenn is Audrey. So she's on the casting list and has talked about it. How much of a role she has, who knows? Because they haven't really announced. Because IMDb is only updated as people are on the episodes. It isn't.
Thank God for that. Because if we are doing research for this, I hate thumbing through a show and then saying, "Oh, this character's only on 4 episodes."
Yeah, so. James. We saw James. We'll see him again. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like Jack Nance passed away, so we won't see Pete Martell.
The Bookhouse Boys, are they gonna get back together?
Joan Chen, I don't think, who played Josie Packard, I don't think she'll be on the show because I know she was publicly campaigning to Lynch to be on the show, so I don't think she's in it. And then there's other people like who knows if they'll appear.
Leo, is he dead? Does he have spider bites?
Yeah. So who shows up? We don't know, but we'll have to just wait for upcoming episodes. So.
Thanks for watching that last episode too, or the last recap we did. We got a lot of good views and feedback. We love the discussion. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on the season so far. This episode, where you think things are going to go, maybe any theories, because this is the fun show to do it to kind of theorize. I think because it's not all about the plot.
Well, and two, it's a show that when you think about it, back in the day when this came out, it was a show prime for theorizing. But since it came out in the early '90s instead of the internet era. Like with Lost, which was even earlier, in the 2000s, there was still a ton of internet chatter about it. With Twin Peaks, that would have been all over the place. I think there were message boards and stuff on the internet back in the day. Granted, there wasn't many people on it, and it wasn't that big, but this show is primed for discussion and, theories and things like that. So.
I was looking for it on my phone real quick. I don't see it now. But I saw a screen grab somebody had I think it was a television poll, and it was who killed Laura Palmer, and it was great because Leland was at 2%. Laura Isn't Dead had 6%.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
They definitely thought
theories.
It was obviously Leo was way up there.
Yeah.
Leo and somebody else, I can't remember who, but yeah, it's fun and it's a great show. It's not just about the mysteries. It's not just about that. So
all right, so. I think that'll wrap up this discussion of episode 5 of Twin Peaks: The Return. We'll be back for the next episode next week.